Commvault Training Podcast, episode number 23. Maybe in your interview, maybe in your day-to-day tasks in Commvault, maybe somebody asks you for this. In an interview, let's say. They ask you about the type of jobs, the job phase, what job phases go through. So what happens is when you back up a client, we're going to just assume this is just a file system, like a Windows file system. When that happens, it has phases that it goes through. And we're going to assume that your CommServe, you have a media agent, which is different than your CommServe somewhere else. And then you have, in the media agent, you have a direct attached storage. So you have a hard drive that is your primary copy for your data, your backups. And then you have a secondary copy, which could be Azure Blob Storage, could be tape library, whatever. AWS could be any of those, or Google. So the phases are, there's 6 phases. So we're going to go through those. So the first phase is called initialization. So when you see the job, you'll see it back up. It'll go through these phases. And the job in the CommServe, in the Java console or the command center, you're going to see these go through it. So the first phase is initialization. That's when the CommServe initiates a job, and it talks to the client, gets the resources necessary, such as the media agent and the storage policy. The second phase is called a scan phase. That's when the agent scans the client, identifies the files and blocks based on the backup type. It also generates a collect file. And this comes into play in the third one, which is the collect phase. In the collect phase, the collect file that was generated in the scan phase is used, and because that gives a list of all the objects that need to be backed up. Now, in the fourth phase, it's called the backup data transfer phase. That's when the data is read from the client, and it's either deduped or compressed or both. And that is then transferred to the media agent and onto the storage policy, which is a secondary copy. In the fifth phase, which is called the index archive phase, the backup of the index or the metadata is finalized in the cache, and a copy is sent to the media agent or the storage for browse and restore when you go and restore the files. And finally, the last phase is phase 6, or sixth phase, is the finalization. The job is marked as complete in the CommServe database, or it's marked as complete with errors, or however the job is completed. But you'll see the indication in that regard. When you go for an interview, or you just go into daily work, you might be asked these questions, and they might be helpful for you. And if you want to help yourself out in a Commvault interview, then hopefully these help you out. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next one.